March 3rd, 2023. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart of the Thinkorswim platform. You don't have to watch this entire video, just go down in the description below to see where I took my trades and the timestamps of anything I saw that was interesting. I didn't take any trades today, actually. There was no trade day. This is how I saw the chart marked up. So as you can see, in the pre-market, it looks like it was already rallying. And then the rest of the day, it kind of did a very slow, gradual rally, very similar to yesterday. So the way I drew out my chart looks like this. And if you just look at yesterday, this kind of had a very similar characteristic, a slow, gradual chart, kind of slow, gradual grind up, kind of like a continuation pattern. Now, I unfortunately there weren't that many trades that I saw that were offering anything safe for me. The ones that did, I unfortunately didn't take in time. And so I missed out on trades that probably would have, made some pretty decent moves. Now, overall, this is the trend line that I found. And I saw online, because I do watch other traders, they're commenting that there's another trend line here, but I didn't quite like it as much as mine because technically you could make this trend line and make it contact down here. So you do have this trend line here, which yes, it is kind of obeying. It is kind of touching the top, looking to break above. But I prefer my trend channel right here, just because it's more of a supportive one on the bottom. Because when the trend is going bullish, I like my trend channel to be more accurate on the bottom because it gives more room to the top. And you could argue it the other way. You want it kind of on the top because you want to know where it could potentially reverse. And potentially reverse, so like the buying is almost complete and it might be a pullback. But I like the support mainly because after the buying, you have a sell-off, you have a potential chance to reverse. I also thought it touched better because I have 1, 2, 3. If you group these together, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe a close, but in about 4 touches, as opposed to this other one, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, then you have an overshoot. So it's kind of up to you. I did have this one drawn just as a resistance line, but it doesn't make trend channel. It kind of makes a wedge. But I actually preferred, as I said, my trend channel a little bit more. And in the pre-market, I did draw the overall trading range that I thought created by the pre-market low and the pre-market high. And I just kind of doubled it to see if there's a potential move up to the top, and it did reach it today. So I'm going to get into the trades now. So in the pre-market, there wasn't much of anything going on. Then it started climbing, started rallying. There's a pullback, another rally. I don't trade any of this, not because I don't want to, but usually because I'm asleep. This is Pacific Standard Time. This is like 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm not going to be trading during that time. Prices open, and they kind of opened after a sell-off, and they started moving. So I saw a trend channel, trading range right here at the time after it kind of traded sideways and it was confirming. EMA is kind of currently holding prices down, and I do see the first potential trade right here. So new low, first entry short, second entry short. It's not a very good signal bar though, because if it's second entry short, yes, but a failed second entry short going with trend, I didn't like as much just because this signal bar isn't very good. On top of that, it's kind of far from the EMA. So I decided that if it was closer to the EMA and came back up, it would have been a worthwhile trade. So I left that one alone. I was okay with that. Prices continue moving. Goes up. I do draw these 2 trend channels, and I do see a measured move from this low to here, and I kind of just create another one about starting from here up. So I knew it kind of hit the top of the moving measured move, and it might come back down. But this time, I don't have this trend channel drawn, and I don't have this one established yet. But shortly after, when this comes down, I do draw this one, this resistance one here, but it's not a channel yet. I just noticed it's like a resistance. Certainly you could argue, okay, it's something like right here, and you can make your mouse around with it a little bit to try to make it fit. But at the time I was just watching. And so it comes up, it touches, but it's not really a confirmed trend line yet, or trend channel yet. It comes up, makes a new high, first entry long, comes up, make a second entry long right here. But I don't like, even though the signal bar was great, I don't like that when this kind of flashed up, it came back down. I also didn't like that this candle didn't close above the EMA. So I just kind of sat in my hands. Then I saw a potential failed second entry long. So failed second entry long, I thought it might be a possible trade. Now the only catalyst today was the PMI economic news coming up. PMI, I think like services PMI. And I was just careful. I didn't want to take any trades during that time, just in case any kind of weird whipsaw happened. But if you did take a trade, it would have worked out. Now, at this time, I did draw this trend channel going down, but it was already too late to try to enter this trade because even though it's right here, first entry, excuse me, second entry long, you're counting on a failure. And when it closed down here, at the time, you're not 100% sure it's going to continue, even though EMA is holding, because overall bias is bullish. So I just kind of sat on my hands, let that one go. I didn't consider it a big worry if it actually went without me, because I wasn't super firm or confident on that particular setup. Prices continue moving down. Now I do see a lower high because there's a first entry long, second entry long failure. There's a lower high confirming that this didn't work out. This is actually a pretty decent candle. It touched the EMA and it flashed down. I have this trend line drawn now, and it broke out. It looked like it might want to come back and test the low. So unfortunately, I didn't. It's a possible trade. I thought it was a pretty decent entry, but I didn't take the trade, and I ended up missing out because it would have gotten a nice, little profit out of it. Prices continue moving down. This red line is just me drawing a support line here. It's similar to this blue line, but it's horizontal. Just kind of cuts across, just gives me an idea if there's a potential support, potential trading range that's developing I haven't figured out or found yet. Prices continue moving. It's chopping left and right. It kind of looks like it's respecting this trend, this support line that I have drawn. Goes up. And so now it looks like it's going up. And here I start drawing this trend channel. I kind of meet these two bottom ones, and then I kind of drew it, met up here, and I've noticed it overshot, but it doesn't really mean there's a trade there. Kind of goes down. It's chopping sideways. Now here, there's a potential trade that I wanted to take, but I was hesitating because I've seen this in the past, and it's kind of not a strategy, but something I've noticed, and I would typically take this trade. But for whatever reason, I didn't. When it touched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 touches at an ending and terminating at the exact same tick on a bullish day, even though it broke out, overshot came up, it looks like it's trying very hard to try to meet this new extreme. Typically, I would place my order one tick above these guys and just hope for a really quick scalp. I'm not going to go try to get anything higher than this because that'd be risky. But between here and here, it's clearly a full point and a half available. And I just, for whatever reason, felt a little gun shy because there's already a consolidation. These are also making higher lows. So you can see it's kind of wedging up. EMA is catching up to it now. It's also pressing and compressing. So I think if the EMA was actually getting very close, for whatever reason, I would have taken it, but I didn't. And then the next candle, you notice that it starts flashing up. So it would have been a trade. I know in a different context, well, I think in the same context, but for whatever reason, I think I'm feeling a little gun shy today because the last couple of days, my trading was kind of everywhere and I got emotional. I was just being extra careful today. And I also noticed that the volume was a lot lower today than other trading days. But this would have been a pretty decent trade. This is a trade I would have taken, I think, if my mindset was more correct. So I counted it as kind of like a missed trade. Prices continue moving up, creates another consolidation area, keeps going up again. Now I notice that it's staying above the EMA, which is very interesting that it's like so strong. This yellow line is the top of a measured move that I established. I said, okay, there's probably one leg here, and then potentially it wants to hit another measured move up. So I drew it here and I placed it here, and it kind of went to the top. So it already touched the measured move. I'm thinking, okay, there might be a little bit of a reaction, meaning it might come back for a short correction before proceeding up. And I noticed that it breaks through, comes down, touches the EMA. EMA looks like it's holding, then it breaks through. Now EMA might act as a resistance instead of a support. It's chopping around. Continuing, I draw this trading range. I saw this as an overshoot, but I'm very reluctant to try to take a short because the overall bias is so strong right now. And even though it's a slow rally going up, it's not something I want to tempt fate with. So I did see a failed breakout of this guy. It's also second entry short starting from here. First entry short, second entry short. This is a very decent signal bar. Now, this is like it's like a potential trade if you're super aggressive, and I'm not. I would have placed my order down here, and as you can see, at the time, you don't really know that this is going to work because you don't really, I wasn't really sure if it's going to, breach this measured move. But certainly if I was more aggressive, maybe with more experience seeing more of these type of days, I would have taken an entry one tick below. And it is counter trend, so you have to keep that in mind. There's enough room to the EMA. And as you saw previously, the candle would have filled you. It goes back into the trading range, breaks out below. And so now I actually draw this trading range from this low to this high, and I just drop the midline through it. And then I'm just kind of watching prices continue to move right now. Still haven't taken a trade. Prices continue moving down. It's chopping within this trading range, but also reacting to this bigger trading range. So it's a little confusing. It's a little overlapping. It's just very, very congested because it's above the EMA, below the EMAs. EMA is cutting through. It's also below again, above, below. So it's hard to really know which way it's going to go or which way it's going to break out. So I just didn't want to be part of that drama. And so now I do see a new high, first entry long, just barely, and then potentially a second entry long here. Now I saw this and I thought, okay, this is a decent signal bar, close above the EMA, and right after this break of this trend channel, there's one very weak push up, and this potentially could create a second push up to try to test this high. However, it's already been in this trading range for the last, from about like 7:30 to about 8. So it's been there for about 40 minutes already, so I'm not really sure it's going to break up. And it's also could be considered in the middle of this trading range, the one that's highlighted. So I didn't want any part of that. Turns out it would have worked, but it's, as you're watching, it's coming back down again. And now, of this larger trading range, there's a bullish bias because before it was bearish, now it's bullish again. And I see this new high, first entry long, second entry long. Now the second entry long I thought was actually a possible trade because it's a good signal bar, closed above the EMA, and it actually has 2 additional key entry points because this trading range, although it's kind of overlapping with this trading range, if this is truly the midline, I saw that this is this ascending trend channel that I drew from earlier is confirmed now because I have 1, 2, kind of touches here. Depending on how I drew it, you could confirm it here, but it definitely confirmed here. So I thought, okay, there's at least another key entry point right there. Good signal bar close right above EMA, and there's enough room to get back to the top, as well as just to get back to even a more conservative top of the measured move, which has been being tested several times now. So I didn't take the trade. I saw it, and as I said, I felt a little gun shy today. Oh, just went too far, excuse me. Felt a little gun shy today just because of what happened, and I unfortunately missed that trade. But it turned out to be a pretty decent move. It went up, and if I had a runner, I think I would have gotten stopped out right here. And prices continue moving up, and now it's still within my larger trend channel, which is good. It's confirming, and as I pointed out, if you had drawn this one as a trend channel, you've only got 2 confirmations right now, whereas I'm already having pretty good confidence I've touched many more times on the bottom, which is kind of a supportive because it's good. I want to see it bounce off of here because I'm bullish bias, as opposed to if you drew it at the top, I feel like you're more bearish bias because you're looking for a bounce to come back down. But I could be wrong. That's just how I saw it. Prices continue moving. And now I'm noticing, okay, before it was chopping above and below the EMA. Now it looks like it's holding above the EMA, especially this current set of candles. But then it throws me for a loop. It kind of comes back down. I see a new high here. Let me zoom in. I actually saw a new high here. Comes up, breaks above this candle. First entry long, comes back down. This is technically a second entry long. But then when I saw this, I thought, okay, it could actually be grouped as one leg down, first entry long visual, then a second entry down, or second leg coming down, potentially another second entry long here. So every time these candles are printing, I pay particular attention when I see these type of bullish candles. And the same thing if I see like a very bearish candle, like one of these guys, then especially if it's setting up for a second entry, I just kind of pay more attention. But I think there was a trade here. It's a good signal bar, close above the EMA, but it does feel a little congested. So if you had taken the trade, it would have worked out. Just barely though. And then I do see a confirmation higher low. It's also above the EMA. I like this trade a lot better because it's a decent signal bar. Its close is kind of neutral because this one's the one right before, but it's making a double top. So I thought it might be like a potential trade there. It's confirming the second entry, but it is toward the top, the very top of the whole day right now. So it is kind of risky because this is what you see right now in that time of day. And so it kind of gave me pause. And I thought, okay, well, I should just sit and not jump the gun. Turns out it would have worked, but I don't know at the time. It continues moving up. And I got to be honest, for the rest of the day, I didn't see as many good entries or setups, and I just kind of called it a day at that point. But I was still, quote unquote, trading by watching, hoping for a setup. But I didn't really quite see one. And as you can see now, it kind of confirms the third time of this support line. Had you drawn the channel the other way, kind of had these touches up here and down here. Now, I suppose you could have drawn your trend channel this way if you wanted to have, it looks like you for sure want to have these two touch. And if you try to have it match up here, let's just try to see if I can get this to cleanly match up. It would look something like this, which I'm not a big fan of. And you would have missed, you would have had one touch and no other touches, and it gets closer to the one that I drew. So instead of trying to make a channel match, I just had this support, this resistance line touch once, touch twice, finally touch a third time. So it's kind of, okay, that might be valid, but it's not a channel because it's kind of wedging the prices together. So I still treated mine with more, I still traded off of mine as the more dominating path going up. And then prices continue moving down, breaks below. And I actually don't see very many good setups. I mean, you could argue this is a new high, even though it's the first entry long here. You can group it together. New one leg down. There's actually be two legs. It could be first entry high, first leg down, pulled up, second leg down. And you could count this as a second entry long, but I didn't because it's just too choppy. And as you can see, price action is really slowing down because this is supposedly 10 o'clock to 10:30. And on a minute chart, you'd have 30 candles inside here, but you only have about maybe half of that. So it's not a very volatile day. It's not anything to try to be ambitious with. So it continues moving up. It breaks above this support, this resistance line. It continues. I mean, you could argue there's some second entries in there, but they're not high probability. They're just very congested, like small candles. Had you entered on any of these previous trades and you just wrote it up, that's where you would have made the profits. But trying to enter midstream is just very difficult. So I unfortunately didn't see any more setups worth taking because just due to my experience level and what I saw. Maybe if you guys saw better setups, you probably could have taken it. And then it's just kind of already getting late into the day. And as you can see, it just kind of chops around, moves for the most part horizontal. To try to find a good second entry this late, I felt was risky as well as up here. Because I definitely don't want to take a losing trade than to try and recover the trade so late in the day. And I don't want to end my Friday with like a red. And that's pretty much how I saw the chart today. So you can see there's like a measure move from this guy, and I copied it and placed it here. It respected it somewhat right here. So measure move here, here, kind of cut off here, and I started the second leg up here and kind of respected it here. So smaller measure move here that I saw. And so the price action is very slow today, but if you got in on some of these entries, then it probably would have gotten some pretty good profit out of it, but I didn't get any trades today, and I'm okay with that. And I could tell, like, if you just look at the width of this 2000 tick chart bar, the 2000 tick chart duration compared to this, it's about the same. So this was a very choppy day, and this is also, but they're both trending rallies up. And I guess you could kind of look at, it's kind of like a continuation of what happened yesterday. It's pretty interesting because, you know, it's respecting starting from yesterday going back up. But that's kind of how I saw the chart today. Hopefully that was helpful.